Here's a little quick experiment for you. Just got to find the right sort of stone. Skimming stones, everyone's familiar with the concept of skimming stones. And you tell me how we're going to skim stones unless the earth was flat. If it was a sphere or a globe, those globe toads call it, it would just like that, wouldn't it? Any second now. So, proof. That's proof of the flat Earth. Next. When I got into it, I suppose 5, 6 years ago, I got into it trying to debunk it, as loads of people do. And then I was like, hang on a minute, something doesn't make sense here. I'm looking at all this imagery and, you know, thinking, how does a body of water stick to a spinning ball? You know, it's obviously at the time beyond my understanding, and I'm like, someone needs to know about this, surely. Sometimes it's important to take yourself away from reality to really understand reality, you know. Everyone thinks that we need to go by the mainstream narrative or the agenda, and that's not what I'm about at all. I've never been good at listening to people who've got careers in this sort of thing. People will have you believe that we all came from monkeys and dinosaurs existed. I mean, that's only the plot line of one of the biggest films of all time, Jurassic Park. Yet there's people out there who think it's real. It blows my mind to think how stupid some people can be, to be honest. First I thought the whole idea of faking the shape of the Earth was about generally just fucking with us. Even I was back in my brain at first thinking, what's the point? You know, some big Game of Thrones type ice wall, and we're like the centerpiece, creating this, like, I try and think of it as the Truman Show. We're basically just one flat plane in the middle of a load of others that are all sort of beyond the ice wall. That's why if you try and go to Antarctica, you'll just get met with hostility from some sort of battleship. You can see one peninsula in Antarctica. Just go and say hello to some penguins from a bit of a distance. Penguins don't even care, they're probably mechanical anyway. You know, penguins are a form of flightless bird, and we all know birds aren't real. So it makes sense that those flightless birds are just basically there as guardians to the entrance to Antarctica. But if we were able to go there, we could refute it or prove it otherwise, do you know what I mean? Whereas we're currently in this status whereby we've got to take everyone's word for it, you know. I've never been keen on taking other people's word for it. I don't care if you've learnt about it for 25 years. The education system pretty much owns you at that point. And if you've been educated in that system, you're only going to have learnt by one system, aren't you? The education system. And universities, they're all just basically part of the indoctrination. It's a case of endless resources and like a utopia. You know, if we were able to go beyond that wall, which they don't want us to go beyond, we can discover, I'm pretty sure that's where Asgard, Midgar, Atlantis, you know, there's got to be something to that as well. You know, I find that a great thing about this whole scenario is if you don't really understand something fully, as long as you've got a strong enough imagination, you can put your own pieces of the puzzle together and usually dedicate the whole of your life to following that train of thought. It's like Judgment Day, frankly. I've seen this coming for years. It's when everyone's, all the forces of evil, all the, you know, I don't know who they are, but we call them the NWO, the Illuminati. I imagine entities a bit like maybe Shredder from Turtles or something like that. That's how I like to fantasise about it. That way I really feel like I've got a powerful enemy that I'm fighting. And again, if you're trying to market something, it's good to give people a bit of perspective and nostalgia for their childhood when They think they're effectively a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Everything they've been working towards has now come down to this, you know. I mean, we'll get on a bit more deep down the rabbit hole later, you know, but let's just say that all the powers and the forces at work, they're not all human. I believe we were visited by a race of shape-shifting aliens years ago, centuries ago, decades ago even, and they've basically been here ever since, living amongst us, controlling everything we do. You all right, mate? Go ahead. It's all right. Yeah, they've been pushing their narrative the whole time, and this is kind of like the culmination of everything. They've worked really hard, fair play to them, but you know, I'm not having it. They didn't reckon about me, did they? They were like, we can enslave the entire population of the human race, but they underestimated me, you know, with my special knowledge. I'm their worst nightmare, effectively. I'm the one that could throw a complete spanner in their works. I'm basically the one that can save the world. Bill Gates, obviously, is the devil in this scenario for reasons no one's quite been able to clarify yet, but we're working on it every day. We're always accusing Bill of stuff without any evidence, and eventually we'll hit the target, you know. As long as you keep throwing enough darts at the board, eventually you'll get a bullseye. As the old saying goes. It's good to accuse people in advance, I reckon, sometimes, and then if they don't defend themselves, like I can't tell you how many times I've sent Bill Gates an email. First I was polite, yeah, I'm very respectful, because at the end of the day, he's the founder of Xbox. You've got to respect that. But I've emailed him, I've tried calling him, I phoned Microsoft and they were like, who? I'm like, it's Brian, I'm investigating the genocide that Bill Gates is carrying out, and then straight away they put the phone down on me. Honestly, I've sent about 24 emails by now and Bill Gates hasn't even answered. That's effectively a sign of guilt, isn't it? If he wasn't guilty, he'd have taken the time to answer to me and all these other people that keep emailing him. Which I think is a bit rude by Bill. And look at his name as well. He's the, when you have Watergate, you had Pizzagate, Partygate. We wouldn't be calling it Gate if he was innocent, would we? It's Bill Gates, plural. He's like the gatekeeper, I feel. He's like the one that's really, he's trying to enslave mankind. He's got all the money in the world, all the technology at his fingertips, a legacy in front of him, but the one final piece of the puzzle to have everything he wants, everything his heart desires, is to track me.